Hello class 9 students, so your SST teacher is back with another chapter, that is chapter number 2 of history, that is state and society up till 1000 CE. By CE here we mean AD. Now this is something you learned in class 6. So my dear students, the last class was regarding the human evolution and the beginning of a civilization. Hope you guys remember it. Hope you guys have went through that session very nicely. Now coming towards the second chapter of your part 1 book. So books are still pending from the side of CBSE, but we are learning as per the academic syllabus that is officially released by CBSE previously. So according to that, the second chapter in your part 1 book from history, I'm here saying second chapter of history is state and society. We are going to understand that chapter very nicely. Before moving to this chapter, let me give you a brief about the last chapter, because see, this time the history books are more Indianized. Up till last year, you were studying French Revolution, Russian Revolution, Nazism, and every time a question comes in your mind, ma'am, why are we not studying Indian history? Why we need to study the history of French people, Russian people, Germany people? So this time when your NCERT is being revised, what is added? Indianized version of NCERT is added. Okay? When I talk about the last chapter, that is chapter number 1 of history. Okay? You studied about human evolution. You studied about what, bacha? You studied about human evolution as well as the beginning of a civilization. This is just to connect you what we have to study in this chapter. If you go back and see that 2.5 million years back, right? 2.5 million years back when Earth basically had the evidence of life, right? After that, we have seen that from animal to human, there was a journey, there was a transformation that gradually happened from an ape to human in periods, okay? In ape to human in periods, and we have done this periodization for the convenience of our study. We have seen that there was a human who was walking on 4 limbs. Then we have seen that how does a human evolved and stood upright on 2 limbs, and that particular period is known as Stone Age. Okay, Stone Age, when human knew what to use the stones for making the tools and implements to hunt, gather, etc. In that Stone Age also we have learned about Paleolithic, Mesolithic and Neolithic age. Okay? During this time, discovery of fire was done, farming was started, etc. After that, gradually we have seen that this is the first civilization, that is Indus Valley civilization. Okay, Indus Valley civilization, for your knowledge, bacha, Indus Valley civilization was around 2500 BC. Here BC I mean before Christ. Okay? When we study history, the timeline is in a manner that, because like see, who was the first person who studied history? He was Herodotus. He is considered as father of history, right? So father of history from the Greek region, exactly what will be calculated here? Roman things will be used as parameters. So there is a period that is considered as 0 year. Okay, before the 0 year, the time is written as BC, that is before the birth of Christ, and after that it is written as AD, that is Anno Domini, right? To make it more like, now we don't want to use if before the Christ and AD, that is after the birth of Christ, that is Anno Domini. We replaced it with BCE, that is before Common Era or Common Era. So whenever you see this BCE and CE, bacha, do not get confused that this is some new terminologies, right? This is just BC and AD only. Fine. So what we studied in this Indus Valley civilization, which was developed around 2500 years back, the great cities of India urbanized, civilized, however it vanished somewhere. And after this will come the age of iron age, right? Now because of iron, what happens with iron was a strong mineral, strong metal, right? It could help the people to cut the forest and do the cultivation, more population growth. When more population growth is there, cultivation they are doing, there will be more what? There will be more settled community, and bacha, when settled community came na, there will be society. people living together, they will be having society, they will be working with each other, and this is what is the essence of this particular chapter named as State and Society up till 1000 CE. So after the fall of Indus Valley civilization, this chapter starts here. So let's see what we are going to cover in this chapter is society, how it takes shape, right? From wandering tribes to a settled and an organized society. Then we will see how kingdoms came into power, right? How Mahajanpads led the formation, how Janpads led the formation. Then the Vedic age particularly. Then we will talk about the great empires of India, Mauryan Empire, Gupta Empire, knowledge and culture, then trade and economy. This is the complete cover of the chapter. Okay, are you guys ready to start this chapter? Very good. So, evolution of Indian society and institution. Again, I'm telling you that beta, what happened now? The human started learning about farming. So the first crops were wheat and barley, and this was majorly in Neolithic age. After that, humans knew about certain metals, like he knew about copper. That period is known as Chalcolithic age. Later, they mixed that copper with tin and made bronze. Indus Valley civilization was known as Bronze Age. But later on, what happened? Iron came into being, and this is how what happens, beta, farming increased. Again, I am telling you, farming increased the social life, farming increased the settlements. So, how did people moved from the tribe to families, villages, finally a whole society with shared custom, beliefs and traditions? This is about the chapter. I'm just telling you what happened, beta, when iron came into what we can say use na into the daily life of humans. Again, there were more plants or more forest that was cut easily. Okay? In this forest or the clear land, agriculture was done. What was done? Agriculture was done. People started settling over there. Achha, do you know that? Pay attention to this. When people started settling over there, there is one person who is making iron products, okay, and he becomes iron smith. There is a person who is making the product of gold. The person becomes goldsmith. There is a person who is doing farming, and the person becomes farmer. Now there is the person who is trading these products. So this is how different social groups became. Okay, different social clusters became. They live nearby to each other because to make that resources available. Now, when they started living near to each other, this society gradually converted into a village. Okay? Now, this tribal society, which was previously the tribal people wandering from one place to another, becomes settled, and this is how village is formed. Because of this village, what came into being was society, bacha. Right? Now, as society, many of the people are living. There might be crimes happening. There might be robbery happening. There might be times when we need to build a dam. There might be times when we need to make water available at every household. We need to make the roads. We need to work on the sewage. Who is going to do that? So here comes the institutions that will develop into the leadership roles. Right? Might be the ruler is chosen by the people, and then it becomes hereditary. This is what the context of this chapter. Okay, so from wandering times to what? Tribes to settled farming. Initially there was tribal life. People were hunting, people were gathering, living together. Wherever they have the availability of water, they were residing there. When their work was done, they moved to another place. Up till here, there was no permanent house-like structure as you can see in the picture. Now, in the later times of Neolithic age, okay, in the later times of Neolithic age, these people learned agriculture. Agriculture began. When agriculture is being done, obviously by the crop is growing for 3 to 4 months, what they will do? They will make this type of roof made houses. Huts were made, right? So this was the first time when they become settled. When they become settled and got to know that by this land is quite fertile, why don't we make a permanent settlement over here? And hence villages came into being, where different social group of people pursuing different what we can say trade or work were living here. And then gradually what happens, bacha? The population grows. When the population grows, there will be the rise of kingdoms. There will be the rise of kingdoms. Let me tell you, here we are going to talk about the time after the Indus Valley civilization. That means after the fall of Indus Valley civilization. Okay, if I talk about IVC, that is Indus Valley civilization, that started from around, the evidence we got is from around 2500 BC, okay, to 1750 BC. Okay, after that, this Indus Valley civilization, which consisted of cities like Harappa, right now, which is in Pakistan. So it was near the Sindhu river, the Indus river. Then there was Mohenjo-daro. Okay, Mohenjo-daro. Then there was Dholavira, which is presently in India. Lothal, that is right now in Gujarat. Then we have cities like Kalibangan, that is right now in Rajasthan. So near that river Indus, as well as its 5 tributaries, Ravi, Byas, Jhelum, Chenab, Satluj. Okay, there were different cities which collectively made Indus Valley civilization. But after this 1750 BC, one by one, these cities started to be vanished and a new life has been seen. Okay, what we are saying, that new life is Vedic age. What we are saying, beta, Vedic age. Just for your knowledge, this Indus Valley civilization is considered to be a part of proto-history. It is considered to be a part of proto-history. Why proto-history? Beta, proto-history is a period in history. Okay, is a period in history where what happened? We found the written evidence. Okay, we found what, beta? We found the written evidences. But unfortunately, what happens? But unfortunately, we are not able to decipher them. We are not able to decipher them. By decipher here, I mean that we are not able to read them. And hence this period is known as proto-history. But after this comes the Vedic age, in which the 4 main Ved is being written. I'm going to go in detail about the Vedic age. Just want to inform you that this is basically the start of Indian history, not the start of Indian history. Why history? Because this is the time where we got what? Archaeological evidences. By archaeological evidences, I mean the forts, the temples, the coins, the fossils, right? Along with that, we have got the literary or written records too. And we are able to decipher them. Okay? If someone asks you that, did we decipher the Vedic age? Yes, we deciphered what is written during this time. Getting my point, beta? Now, so from villagers to strong rulers, and there we will come the large territories. How they are being formed, we have to talk about them in detail. Beta, what happens now? Pay attention to that. So, when Indus Valley civilization fall, the people started moving from Indus. Okay? They started moving from river Indus towards river Ganga and Yamuna. Towards river Ganga and Yamuna. And what made it possible that humans are moving from river Indus to Ganga and Yamuna was the discovery, or what we can say that, knowledge of iron. Okay? Considering iron as a hard metal, considering iron as a hard metal, the humans were able to, what we can say, clear the forest or the dense forest near the Ganga and Yamuna region. Okay? Now pay attention, you might have heard a word that is known as Jana. Right? Jana Gana Man, we usually, I won't sing it right now, but yes. So what is that word Jana? The word Jana here means people. The people, right? And there comes a terminology that is referred as Janapad. That is referred as Janapad. So pad here is where we keep our feet or foot. So basically where people started residing, okay, when that small tribal villages, right, came together forming a cluster of like society, was referred to as Janpad. Now, as these large Janpads were made, there was requirement of some ruler. Okay, obviously, there should be someone to look after the law and order. There should be someone to look after this city. And here comes the role of a ruler. And this is what we have to understand. Development of kingdoms. Okay? Here comes beta what? Kingdoms. So in this kingdom, there was one person who was the supreme ruler. Right? And this supreme ruler was referred as Rajan or Raja. He was referred as Rajan or Raja. Are you guys enjoying it? See, visualize the history of India. Visualize the picture that how it is going on. So there was a supreme ruler referred as Rajan or Raja. And do you know, the Raja was supported by group of people. Right? Group of people, those were the part of administration referred as Mantri Parishad. What it is referred as? Mantri Parishad. Basically, we say it is Council of Ministers. What it is? It is Council of Ministers. Right? There was ministers. There was law and order. Like right now also we sometimes say that according to Indians law and order, according to the history of India. So during this time now people started learning about writing. So there are a lot of Dharma Shastra written. Dharma Shastra says that by this is right according to the Dharma. That means Indian religion, Hindu religion, and this is wrong according to the Dharma. So who was taking care about this law and order in this place was what? Supreme leader, who was Rajan, right? Now to keep on the expenses of the city, like the farmers were availed about the irrigation system, roads were made and other facilities were done in the city. What was done beta? Taxes were collected and that is known as revenue collection system. Like if we see the starting of the Indian society, the tax was not mandatory. That was not mandatory. That was given initially by the people as a gift to Raja because they were aware about what Raja is doing in the society. But later on that taxes become compulsory. Okay? And protection and welfare, what Raja is particularly doing, let me tell you why this Raja was made. So basically there were small kingdoms, like this is a place, this is a Janpad. Okay, and this is a Janpad. So a Raja or Rajan will be there to take care of the territories. He will place his army along the borders of the Janpad so that there will be no attack from the neighborhood what territory. Because see, every Raja wants to expand its power or wants the resources. Sometimes the fight was only because of resources. So to take care of the territory, there was protection and welfare activities done to make itself more flourish. There was competition along the nearby Janpads too. Okay? So this is the feature of what beta? This is the feature of a society. Okay, which is gradually developing. I will tell about everything of India. Don't worry about it. Now we see the social structure. Now here the social structure was such that beta, certain activities were predominantly being done, like farming activity. So in the society there was a farmer who was tilting the land and making the farms ready for the crops, for the growth of crops, and his work is to look after the harvesting festivals, harvesting seasons too. So this was a farmer. Then there was a craft person. We know that this was ancient Indian society where pots were made to keep the grains, because grains are being produced, they need something to keep the grains. So there were craft persons like potter makers. There was someone who was making the clothes. There was someone who was making the iron equipments which facilitated the farming, right? There was someone who was goldsmith, because ornaments wearing was a part of Indian culture at that time. So there were craft person. Along with the craft person, there were traders also who were making these products available to the nearby Janpads as well as to the nearby empires too. Like we have found the evidence of trade with the Roman empires, Mesopotamian empires, etc. So who were doing that? The traders were doing that. Now comes a position in the Indian society was of priest. Now who is priest basically? So at that ancient time, beta, priest was a person who was able to read and write and to make other people aware about these reading and writing. I will tell you when I tell you about the Vedic society. Okay? In the Vedic society, the highest position was of this priest person. Let me tell you that beta, this priest person. So which society, like after the Indus Valley civilization, what became so important was yajna. Yajna, by today we mean yagya. In every Indian household, we do yajna so oftenly. Whenever any puja is being done, what is that? Yajna. So at that time, beta, natural elements were considered as so pure, and in that fire had the very, very high position. It was considered that the only source of communication, or the only source of what we can say connection between the god as well as the human is fire, and hence these yajna or these yajna was performed by the priest. And the last one here is written as ruler, who took care about of the empire here. Okay, getting my point? So what I want to make you clear that we have not studied anything in detail up till now. We just had an introduction of how the major changes have been seen from the last chapter towards the next chapter, that is state and society. Like in the last chapter, we read about the Stone Age particularly. Which age, bacha? Stone Age, in which humans were nomadic. They were living the nomadic life, moving from one place to another by kato, khao, or aage badh jao. So just to cut the what we can say, cut the animals, hunt the animals, take off their skin, eat, wear the clothes of the skin, and move to the next place. So the type of living they were having was tribal type. What tribal people are? That they are not settled, right? In there was a tribal chief who was just taking care of that small tribe, and they had no permanent residence. It was a small community. But after that, what happened with the arrival of this Vedic age, okay, or I can say that with the arrival of this Iron Age, we will see that people started settling down. Why? Again, what increased? The cultivation increased, the population grew, and the population became settled. There was kingdoms being made. As I told you, the Janpads came into presence. Okay, bye. There was organized government. The role of Rajan came into picture, and there was whole society. Whole society. Get it? In this society, we will talk about philosophers. We will talk about the rise of mathematicians and the mathematics ideology. There was shapes in geometry has been seen here. There was rise of literature being written, astronomy done, and the practice of medicine in the Indian society this time. Okay, and this age is known as Vedic age. What it is known as, bacha? This age is particularly known as Vedic age. It is considered that this age started from 1500 BCE. Do you remember when did the Indus Valley civilization fall? 1750. So we don't know what happened in this break of 250 years. I particularly feel that the change might be gradual. And hence, we have seen the origin or the starting of Vedic age from 1500 BCE. Okay, and it will be there up till 500 BCE and later on. So this is the chapter all about. After the Vedic age, we will learn about the great mighty empires of Mauryans as well as the Guptas. Get it? But this Vedic age is divided again into two periods. Pay attention to it because of the change in society. What I am telling you up till now that we changed in society from a wandering life, nomadic life to settled life. In that settlement also gradually a lot of changes will come. Like what we are living right now, do you think that we used to be in the ancient times? No, why? There is a lot of change. So citing that changes in the Vedic age, we have periodized it into two parts. How many parts, bacha? Say after me. Two parts. I hope you are taking your pen, your pencil and your copy around you, because this is something to be noted, as there are no lot of resources available in the market. Even I struggled a lot to make this PPT, struggled a lot to find the best content possible for you class 9 students, because I have seen even on YouTube what teachers are collecting is really very good, because class 9th everyone is facing problem because of CBSE. What they are doing, I don't know. Like June is about to end. I was made aware that until the end of June we are about to get the books, but I am seeing no chance of getting it. So we can stop learning. So we will put our 100% efforts to make resources available to you. Coming to this beta, so the Vedic society, according to the gradual shift in the nature of the people, is divided into two parts, and the first part is early Vedic period and the second part is later Vedic period. Now what is the difference between the two? In the early Vedic period, see beta, so we are aware that in Indian society there are 4 Ved. So what is Ved? Ved is basically Vedas are the Ved. Okay, Ved are basically the first written record of human history. Okay, it is the first written record of human history. If you see the meaning of this word Veda, it means knowledge. It means what? It means knowledge. Okay, there are 4 Ved. How many Ved? 4 Ved. First one is Rig Veda. Wait. Okay, so what is the first one here? Just give me a second. Okay, so the first Ved here is Rig Veda. I will tell you the meaning of each of them. We have 4 Ved, Rig Ved, then we have Samaved, okay, Samaved, then we have Yajurved, Rigved, Samved, Yajurved, and the last one is Atharva Veda. Atharva Veda. Okay? Now what is the difference between all those Vedas? Whenever there is any puja at our home, whenever there is any yajna at our home performed, but a certain mantra, right, is recited, right? From where does they come? So basically these Vedas contains hymns. What does it contains, beta? These contains hymns, those mantra we hear every day. These Vedas contains hymns that are dedicated to God, right? That are dedicated to God. By which type of God? There was murtis going on they made that time? No. Were there any idol worship done? No. So basically it was dedicated to God like Surya Bhagwan. Surya Bhagwan, that means sun god. So all those natural elements, like there was Indra Bhagwan. Like Indra Bhagwan is basically the protector. ठीक है, सूर्य, इंद्र, अग्नि, right? Agni, Vayu. So all the elements of nature which are quite important for our living, they were considered as God. And to these gods certain hymns were dedicated which are written in this Vedas, which actually tells us about the Indian religion and society. So this is Rig Veda. This Rig Veda was written during the time of early Vedic society. Okay? Pay attention that during the time from 1500 to 1000 BCE, Rig Veda was composed. Now beta, when I talk about what does this Rig Veda consist of, so actually this consists of hymns that are dedicated to all those natural elements like God, like Surya, okay? Surya, Agni, Indra and Vayu, basically. Okay, getting my point? Now you might be thinking, ma'am, that is actually the Ved. Yes, beta. But in this Ved, Rig Ved, when you see that right now, whenever month are being pronounced, right, there is a musical connotation by those priests. They don't just read it naturally like we do. No. They have a musical connotation to it. So that musical connotation, okay, that musical connotation to those hymns were written and explained during Samved, and this is how the Indian music was born. Getting my point? How crazy the Indian culture, literature, religion is. Actually, if we go deep and deep, we'll learn lot of things. So Rig Veda is a time when hymns were written. Samveda is a time when those hymns got musical connotation. Now coming towards Yajur Veda. Yajur Veda is a time when rituals were added to those mantras. Like right now when you sit in that puja, it is oftenly being asked that put ghee in this Agni, put water here, do this, put rice this much and that. So what are those? Those are rituals. Okay, those rituals were explained to us in Yajurveda, and the last one, that is Atharveda. Do you know what it is? So Yajurveda contains the hymns that protect us from the harmful elements, okay, which are considered as bhoot or considered as mystic things in the Indian society. Those hymns which protect us from the evil was written in Atharvaveda. Okay, getting my point? Now, early Vedic society, in the early Vedic society, only and only Rig Veda was written. In the later Vedic society, the rest of 3 Vedas were written, that is Sam Ved, Yajur Ved, Atharva Ved. And this age is known as Vedic age. Here in your book, it's not so much about religion. Let me clear that out, one thing to your mind. But a Ved is not something only and only teaching us about the religion. It is something that actually tells about the society. But there was a Raja ruling the empire, tells us about how the structure of society was made. Right? It's explaining the council of minister. The Veda is explaining us how trade was done, which coins were made, coins were there or not. And actually, this is a brief detailed explanation of how society was, how economy was, how political order was in the Vedic age. Getting my point? So here we start, however, we already started, but here we start in-depth knowledge about this chapter. Okay? In the early Vedic society, the people were tribal. Moreover, people moved around. We have seen that. People mostly reared animals, and the rituals were quite simple. Rituals were quite simple because, see, here it only Rig Veda is written, and it talks about hymns, it talks about yajna, that's it. As the later Vedic society came, na beta, there was more settlements, bigger settlements, and everyone started fighting to make their settlements more large. Okay? We'll talk about them. The rituals become complex day by day. Like right now, whatever the practices we follow, do you believe that at that time the practices were so tough? No. So the rituals here started becoming so complex, and society started divided among themselves. Now this picture is not that clear to you. I am aware about that. But I just want to tell you that, beta, initially during the time when there was Indus Valley civilization, so this was river Indus. If you can see, this was river Indus, and along this river Indus there were its tributaries, that was Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Byas, Satluj, around which we have find what the cities Harappa, Mohenjo-daro. And this period, Indus Valley civilization was around 2500 to 717 and 50 BC. Okay? After that, what happened? The people started moving towards river Ganga. Okay? Towards river Ganga. So, in the early period of Vedic age, this area was occupied, where you have seen various, what we can say, tribal society, and the earliest among them was Bharata tribe, right? From where we got the name Bharat for India. So the earliest tribe that occupied the region, or that lived in the region of India, was Bharata tribe, living in the region of Indraprastha, Kuru, Panchala. Later on, what happened? Again, extension happened with the rise of population, and this region of India was occupied. Okay, so this portion which I marked as black, this was early Vedic age. This was the residence during the time of early Vedic age, and this is during later Vedic age. We will gradually understand more difference between early Vedic and later Vedic. First, we will start with the explanation of early Vedic age, bacha. ठीक है, early Vedic age, which again starts from 1500 to 1000. I am telling you that the society was quite simple. There were tribal settlements. People lived close to nature at that time. The settlements were there, but they were not permanent. If people want, they could move to another place for doing their farming activities and the rest of activities. People lived in groups, and these groups were known as janas. See, again, the story from where I started. So people started living in the groups, and these groups were known as janas. The family was the basic unity or unit of that time, because people lived in families. Joint families were so common at that time. For obvious, there was no caste system. This is one thing that is to be noted. What happens now, beta? This is the time where humans are evolving towards forming a society. So this was the earliest time when people started living with each other. They had a family, a different family, all living together. And these are referred as janas. Okay, the groups are known as janas, and those areas are known as janapads. Okay, the areas are known as janpads. In this janpad, people following different occupation live, but up till now there is no caste system. ठीक है, because caste system emerged when they fixed that you are an ironsmith, your son needs to follow the same occupation. So up till now, beta, the occupation was not fixed by birth. If someone asks you, if someone say you that caste system is in the roots of Indian society, you will say no. Why? Because in the early Vedic society, there was no caste system. People just gathered, started living with each other, following different occupation. If I talk particularly about the condition of women, that was also respected, a lot respected. How? You know that the major and important function of this Vedic society again was performing this yajna, what they called as yajna. Okay, they called as yajna, right? Right now you will see that in that havan and yajna, women are sitting with the men. However, it took hundreds of years to provide that equality. But in the early Vedic society, girls could go and study. We will talk about certain names, right? They could sit in assemblies. They could write their own hymns. Great. They took part in the rituals, the yajna I was talking about, and no child marriage. There was no purda system at that time. And this is our early Vedic society, okay, or which we call as Rig Vedic society. But if I talk about economic wealth, how the people were living, what was the type of economy? So cattle was their wealth. Cattle was their wealth. You know, we have seen a lot of hymns dedicated to animals too. So obviously, by animal is also a gift of nature. And we as an Indian, as a Hindu, what we do? What we celebrate the nature. Our nature is our God, right? Similarly, this cattle was considered as wealth. Beta, what happened? The people started living together. They are doing farming. Now in farming, they need cattle also for animal husbandry, milk products also, as well as to take their care also, right? To protect them from wild animals and all. So rearing of animals was also done. So cattle was considered as wealth. The hymns related to the exchange of cattle, the hymns related to the fight regarding the cattle. And initially, you know why Raja was appointed to take care of that cattle only in that region. So that's great. So many reared animals. The cow was the greatest wealth. Regarding the cow, the robbery scene is being like visualized in one of the hymns. So majorly cattle was the wealth. Many of the people were doing farming. They were growing barley, wheat and similar crops like paddy also. But it was less important at that time. Then it was less important at that time. Now it's very much clear that some people are managing cattle, some people are doing farming, some might be working with iron, some might be making pottery. So there might be trade also, because exchange of elements have to be done. Yes, but there was no coins at that time. Okay, there was no middle money at that time. Rather, the exchange was done on the basis of barter system. And you know what is barter system? So beta, it is the system of coincidence. Like, I am a person who wants this iron equipment to do farming. I'll give another person, take my wheat, I want that iron, what you make. So this was exchange of one product on the behalf of other product. This barter system was used in the economy of early Vedic age. Okay, no coins were there. The elements were mainly made up of copper and bronze. However, here it is written iron was not yet known. But let me tell you, beta, in the Vedic age, in the Vedic age around 1000 BCE, which period? In the 1000 BCE, iron was like known to the Indian person, Indian subcontinent, okay, known to Indian subcontinent. The initial period of early Vedic society, they were only and only relied on copper and bronze. They were relied on copper and bronze. Got it? So now we studied about social structure, we studied about economic structure, by how was the political right, who was the head. So this tribe living with each other, considered as tribal chiefs, was headed by a Rajan. They were headed by a Rajan, or what we call in today's time is a Raja. They protected the people and led them in war, but was not all powerful like it used to be. Whatever picture we have regarding the ruler is that by the ruler was so powerful, he used to maintain the law and order, he listens to no one. But in the early Vedic society, only and only Rajan do not have all the power. Rather, the tribe, the Jana, basically were the main political unit. That is why we say that democracy is in the roots of Indian society. Because here you can see the Raja is not powerful. Who makes the Raja powerful? These tribals, these Jana. Right? How? Any decision, right? Any decision that is to be taken by the Raja. Kaun lega bhai? That is to be taken by the Raja is assisted by these assemblies. Okay? So they will keep a check on them if the person is doing right or not. How? See, there was one group of people known as Sabha. What is that? Sabha. Basically, Sabha was small body of elders. We always see, whenever we see a movie, there is a banyan tree in a village, and below that, some elders are sitting, talking about the village, talking about the welfare of the people, and taking majorly the all decisions of the village, that this is to be done in the society, this is not to be done. Similarly, the Sabha was small body of villagers. Village elders or the chief, they look after the justice, they decided what to do next, and then they advised to the Rajan that this is to be followed. Raja has to hear them. Similarly, we have another group that was Samiti. Now this is Sabha and Samiti in the early Vedic age. This was large body of all the clans, that means all the society of people. People from different clans. Clans was basically family ties. Okay, so decided on war and alliance and even choose the Rajan too. So this democratic type of settlement existed in the early Vedic age when people were tribal people. The chief was Rajan. They up till now were relied on copper and bronze. In the later period, they knew about the iron. Getting my point? This was the society, politically, or as well as economy of that time. I hope this is visible. I'll make it visible to you now. But now what happened? Day by day, this greed of getting more and more territory is increasing. These tribal chiefs, which were smaller, now are expanding in their areas, right? In their areas. So these Janpads, these Janpads were increasing in their areas, became Mahajanpads. So basically, this tribal group is now becoming what, beta? Kingdoms. It is becoming kingdoms, large areas. Like if I talk about this society, when we are moving from early Vedic society to later Vedic society, we are now moving from early Vedic society to what, beta? The later Vedic society, we will see that there are major 16 Mahajanpads in India. There are major 16 Mahajanpads in India. See, how many Mahajanpads? 16 Mahajanpads. Up till now, there was tribe chosen, like the tribal chief was taking care of that. So we don't know about any powerful ruler because it was not at all needed. But as of now, Mahajanpads are formed. Let me tell you some of the famous names if you know. So, have you ever heard about Kuru? Yes, Kuru, that means Delhi Indraprastha wala region. Then we are aware about Panchala. Yes, we have heard about it. Then we know about Matsya, Sursena, where Mathura was there. Mathura was the capital of Sursena. Then we know about Kosala, whose capital was Ayodhya. And now here in picture Ramayana will come. Okay. Then we have Kushinagar, Kashi, everyone knows about Varanasi, Vatsa, Chedi, Avanti. Avanti, you know Ujjain, right? One of the powerful of all that times. The southern was on the bank of river Godavari, named as Asmaka. Then we have Magad, Vaji, Anga. And here we have some territories like Kamboja, Gandhara, whose capital was Takshila, the great university of that time. And even we know about Kamboja too. Beta, among these 16 Mahajanpads which came into power, which became powerful day by day, was Magad. See, this is the entire region of Ganga Yamuna belt. So from where we started, you have to understand, from the Indus region where Indus Valley civilization was there. Later on, early Vedic age, which started getting settled here, lived as tribal communities. Then expanding more and more, fighting for territories, came into picture the 16 Mahajanpads of that time. Among the 16 Mahajanpads, now again they are fighting with each other. Who will become the most powerful? Beta, Magad will become the most powerful. Here, the detailed story regarding the Magad is not given in the book, but I am going to give you a clear picture of Magad. Okay, so Magad was there. Magad. Initially, if I talk about the capital of Magad, it was Rajgriha. Okay, the capital of Magad, that was Rajgriha. Later on, it was replaced by Pataliputra. Do you know what is Pataliputra? Yes, bhai. The present day Patna was known as Pataliputra, a place which was surrounded by what? 5 hills and river Ganga. So it was strategically an important location, because of which this Magad became so powerful. Do you know why this Magad becomes so powerful? Because this Magad has what? They had mines of iron. If we see that Chota Nagpur belt expanding over there, okay, the more iron, the more powerful, because tools will be strong and sharp. And one more thing, among this 16 Mahajanpads, it's popular, what we can say, the strong rival was Avanti. Why? Because iron equipments were made here. So they knew about, they had great knowledge of ironsmiths. Getting, or the picture is becoming complex? No worries, beta. We have to learn. So now what happens now in Magad? Certain early rulers came into power. Like initially there were rulers of Haryanka dynasty. Okay? There were rulers of which dynasty, bacha? Haryanka dynasty. Like we here know about rulers like Bimbisar, okay? Ajat Shatru. There were certain rulers. Then we have Shishunag dynasty. Then we have what? Shishunag. Beta, this something detail is not given to you. I'm just telling you so that you can connect the dots. Then we have Nanda dynasty. Okay? In the Nanda dynasty, the most powerful ruler was Mahapadmananda. Mahapadmananda. You know, this was the actual time when Alexander came to India. Okay? Alexander came to India, and the last ruler of Nanda dynasty was Dhanananda. Who was he? Dhanananda. Beta, this Dhanananda ruler was defeated, right? He was defeated by Chandragupta Maurya. Chandragupta Maurya, and this is how the great Mauryan dynasty came into picture. Now is the picture clear to you? So Indus Valley civilization, before Indus Valley civilization, Stone Age, then comes the IVC, then comes early Vedic society where Janas were living. These Janas converted into Mahajanpads. Among the 16 Mahajanpad who became powerful, Magad. In this Magad, what happened? The power increased day by day. They were just taking off the land of different Mahajanpads, and one day what will come into power? Mauryan dynasty, one of the first all India, what we can say, which covered the Indian subcontinent, was the Mauryan dynasty. Picture clear or not? So crystal clear, I hope that. Still we have to talk about some of the things from the later Vedic society, because we learned how the society was in early Vedic period by. There was no caste system, everyone was living in the society peacefully, happily. But when later Vedic age came, the system became complex. How? See, the settlements are becoming large. In that settlements, there are a lot of people doing different occupation, and now these occupation becomes the identity. You know what happened during the later Vedic age, that these occupation become hereditary, right? By hereditary, what do I mean that? I mean that a person who is a priest, his son will also be a priest. Let me tell you how the Varna system started in India, or how there was division of labor. This is what, beta? Division of labor, and it is majorly because of its occupation. Like at the top layer was Brahmins. At the top layer was who? Brahmins, right? They were basically priests and teachers. The person who can read and write Ved, okay? The person who can teach to the other people, like kings. And the kings came in the second layer of the society. There was Kshatriyas. Like if we see onion, we peel, what happens? There is a layer, there is a layer, there is a layer. Similarly, the top layer of this onion were Brahmins, who ruled the onion, basically the kingdom. Right? By rule, I mean they were the highest level. Then there were Kshatriyas. Who are Kshatriyas? Basically the warriors. The army, the Raja, the minister of council, they all belong to this clan of people known as Kshatriya. Okay? The third in the layer was Vaishya. Who were Vaishyas? Basically, who were doing farming activities, trading, who were merchants, etc. And the last in the list were Shudras, who were basically the servants. According to one mythological book or these Vedas itself, it's being written that, beta, who is the creator of this world? Brahmaji. Right? We considered Lord Brahma as the creator of this world, and now we have a visual representation of that Brahma Bhagwan. But it was initially considered that the brain of the Brahmaji is Brahmins, actually the one who know about the knowledge. So the hands were Kshatriyas, who know how to fight. The body was Vaishya, that means they will do farming, trading and merchants, whichever thing required the body, right? And the last one, the feet itself are the feet of the Brahmaji is Shudras, who will be doing service for the three other parts of body. And we know that how Shudras were treated. They were treated as the servants of all these. And here, this is known as Varna system. What it is known as, beta? Varna system. How many Varnas there? 4. Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra. You can see the picture also. Great. Now moving ahead, let's talk about the position of women, right? We earlier saw that, beta, in the early Vedic society, the position of women was that they were allowed to study. They were allowed to write hymns. They sit in the rituals all together with the men. But here, gradually when later Vedic society came, their power declined, their values declined. Why? Because now the society is more on the occupation. And men did not wanted that the women enter into this power hub, the women enter in this occupation. Early Vedic society, but they were respected. Later Veda, where education was restricted to men. They were removed from the public assemblies. They were confined to the household work. The social inequality grew between men and women, boys or girls during this later Vedic age. Got to know from where the problem started. Okay, the feminism we see right now is actually born here. So, if we talk about women's society, beta, earlier they were respected. See, you can see the pictures. They were sitting, they were writing. And one among the great ladies of that time who actually wrote the hymns, who studied a lot, were Gargi, Maitreyi, Lopamudra and Ghosha. These were the great women of ancient times, okay? So, however, the position of the women declined. We have just got a view of it, like moving towards economic society. Earlier, the society was tribal. It was not that settled, hence farming was not important. But now in the later Vedic age, what happened? Agriculture became the main occupation of the society. What happens, bacha? Agriculture became the main focus of the society. Iron tools were now used. As iron tools are now used, more land is being cleared to use for farming. Farming will be increasing, production will be increasing, population will be increasing. So, the farming is being mainly done in the fertile Gangetic plains. Like I told you, iron cleared the land of the Ganga region. ठीक है. Now new crafts and occupation came. When new crafts and occupation came in the society, you are pretty aware that more division will be seen in the society. ठीक है. So this is the truth. However, we are talking about economy. More crops, surplus produced, trade grow. When trade will go, do you think that will barter system alone is possible? No beta. Later on, what will be seen? Coins will be seen here in the market. However, it will not be in later Vedic majorly. It will be in modern empire only. Okay. Now talking about political development, what happened in the earlier society? There was a Rajan. Okay, advised by Sabha and Samiti. But do you think that Sabha and Samiti, that means there is say of people now? So gradually beta, the king's importance grow, because king is considering himself as the protector of the land. But I am the protector of the land. Who are you? So the king's importance grow greatly. The tribal assemblies, that Sabha and Samiti, declined in power. That means the say of the Jana, okay, the say and importance of that Jana was declining. ठीक है, because what power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So here come the role of kingship. Right? Kingship, Raja Shahi, we know that Gaddi. Everyone fights about Gaddi. Everyone kill their father and son for Gaddi. This kingship becomes hereditary. That means Raja ka hi beta Raja banega. That means the son of the king will become the king. And this is how the concept came. The king's sons become the next king. King claimed to be divine, God sent, and beyond remote. They were saying that they were giving themselves title Maharaja Adhiraja. Okay, the most powerful person is the Maharaja. So they themselves were considering that they are being sent by the God to keep the territory safe from the outsiders. By the outsiders, they mean the attack by the nearby Mahajanpads or the territories. Getting my point? So this was the picture about Janpads became Mahajanpad. Jana here means people and the Pad means place where the people live. Small tribal areas grow into larger Janpads. These joins and form states and empires which are referred as Mahajanpads. Okay, the popular method or the popular practice at that time was royal yajna. The yajna, which was also the part of early Vedic society, the yajna which I am telling, became royal day by day. Because what happened, those Rajas needs to show the power to the kingdom. They want to show the power to the people. See, I am this powerful. Be scared of me. See, I am that powerful. I can occupy the other territory. When a person is more powerful from us, we get scared. We value them. That's the actual picture. So now what happened? The royal yajna rituals were there. Like one of them were Rajasiyu. Basically, it was performed by king whenever he occupy any territory to show the power and prosperity. The other one was Ashwamedha. So Ashwamedha, you studied in class 6 also. So there were two kings. Okay, they both leave their horses. Okay, and see what happened now. This is a territory. This is a territory. There is a king who leaves his horse. There is a king who leaves his horse. So whichever king's horse just go to the other territory, and if in case this Raja kills this horse, what happened? There will be the fight between two Rajas. Okay, and if it does not kill thee, that means that he has he found himself to be less powerful and allow the takeover of the kingdom. Okay? After that victory, a yajna was performed. That was Ashwamedha yajna. If you are someone who saw Ramayana, so there was Love Kush who just took the horse of Bhagwan Rama, and then they were called to the territory in front of the court, if you remember it. So see things around us, see those serials which are going on the TV, which are so exaggerated, but sometimes we learn a lot from them. Like if I talk about Indian history, we learn from movies a lot. But yes, remember, whenever you see those movies and serials and series, lot of things are exaggerated just for entertainment. Just don't come back and say, ma'am, no, it was shown there. That might be there. No, actually it is not. Okay? So this was the political time. Now the organization become like this, that there is king as the supreme ruler, which is known as Raja. or Rajan. Then there is administrative system. Below him there are council of ministers who advise the kings on important decisions. The highest officials in these ministerial posts were referred as amatyas. What they were referred as, bacha? Amatyas, who actually run the main purpose of government, talking about the political affairs regarding the nearby territories and all that. Okay, so they were referred as amatyas. Now pay attention that, for example, this is Magad. This is Magad. Now what happened? This Magad is expanding day by day, in terms of areas, right? Do you think that this can be administered as a single unit? No. So this Raja was doing what? This Raja was dividing the territories into what? Provinces. They were dividing it into provinces. Large territory, each separately governed. Now what happens? Sitting at Patliputra, it was not possible to rule this region. They occupied Avanti also, that means central India. So they divided it and the administration was given to either the prince or some of the family members. So basically, gradually, what is happening? From a centralized administrative system, only in the hands of Raja is given to what? The provincial administrators also, which we can call as decentralized. So whenever the empire will become more big, large and large, what will be made, bacha? Provinces will be made. These provinces were further divided into small administrative units and actually the villages, which were the smallest and the basic unit of administration. Smallest as well as the basic units of administration. Now, is it over? No, bhai. I want to tell you the clear picture that when Magad, okay, when Magad become day by day powerful, and it occupied majority of North India, or I can say Northwest India, what happens? Here a great empire came into picture, that was Mauryan Empire. So pay attention beta, from 1500 to 1000 BCE, it was what beta? It was early Vedic society. Then from 1000 BCE to 500 BCE, what happens beta? It is later Vedic society. After this later Vedic society, among those Mahajanpads who became powerful, Mahajanpads, Magad became powerful. In this Magad region, who came into picture? The Mauryan dynasty came into picture. Okay? Who was the founder of Mauryan dynasty? Chandragupta Maurya. Then his son was Bindusar. Then Ashoka, whom we call Great. Dashrath, Samrapati, Siluska. Then Devavarman, Satadhanvay. Okay? And then the last Mauryan ruler was Brihadrat. And after that, Mauryan dynasty will be replaced by the Guptas. The story is such that. Okay? Now again, revenue and treasury part by 2. Rule this great Mauryan empire, they will need money. And the taxes was taken. I said that initially the tax was not compulsory, rather now it is. In the early Vedic society it was not. So taxes taken for army, for the salaries of officials who are looking after, for roads and canals, for the rest houses of traders and merchants. So traders and merchants were traveling via the long route to make the exports possible for the Roman empires and all. Okay, so this was done. So for this responsibility, certain officers were made. If we have a look, there was Samahartas. Samaharta was a chief revenue officer. Okay, then we have Sanidhata, who was treasurer, who write actually everything. Yes, written records we have find after the Vedic society, right? Sanidhata was a person treasurer who keeps every record, and by that record only we know about the trade, the economy of those times. Okay, so this is about revenue and treasurer beta. Not yet done. Strict laws to be implemented, because if someone was doing wrong, we have seen in the pictures, we have seen in the movies and the serials what? The Raja was there sitting, advised by the priest standing nearby regarding the Dharma Shastra, regarding the law and order, isn't it? So yes, there were courts and strict laws. There was Dandapala. Dandapala was basically the officer, the police officer officer right now who was giving dand to the person, and there was a spy system too. The Raja wants to know who is going against him so that he can kill them, so he can be Raja for a longer period of time. So yes, spies watched officials and people to catch wrongdoing or plot. So we have seen in a lot of movies, the plot is being made to kill the Raja and then occupy the territory. Spy system was set up for that too. Isn't it great or not, bhai? Yes, it was. So here is the reference of the Gupta dynasty, which replaced the Mauryan dynasty, beta. It is said that the first ruler of this Gupta dynasty was Sri Gupta. He was the founder of this Gupta lineage. However, when we talk about the first powerful ruler, it was not Sri Gupta. So Sri Gupta's son was Ghatotkacha. However, the Gupta dynasty came into relevance, or I can say, they came into power and picture was from Chandragupta I. When from Chandragupta I, he expanded the kingdom and he was given the title Maharaja Adhiraja, the titles I was talking about. Then came the great Samudragupta, right? He was a great Veena player, and it is considered that he is regarded as Napoleon of India. Why? Because he expanded the Gupta empire at that time. Then Chandragupta II, popularly known as Vikram Aditya, Kumar Gupta, Skand Gupta, and after that Gupta dynasty also decline. So this is the picture. This reddish area is the area where the Gupta dynasty ruled, which is mostly of the northwest India. Okay? Even some of the eastern territories were also there. So from beta Takshila to Patliputra, there was Gupta empire ruling. Right? To make it more administratively easier, it was divided into province known as Bhukti. Okay? Further into district known as Vishayas. Vishyapati was ruling over there, and the village referred as Grama. Who was the head of Grama? Gramika. Getting my point? Very good. Now, what happens? The territories are expanding. Okay? Expanding. Will the ruler himself possible to rule the entire empire? No. So, to make the administration easier and to keep people happy, there started what? Land grants. Right? What happened? Certain grants were given to officials by you take this. See, for example, this is a large empire. Okay, now ruler is sitting here in Patliputra, Gupta dynasty ruler, and this territory is in Afghanistan nowadays. Will he able to administer this? No. So he sent one of his official that this land is given to you, bhai. What you do? You administer here. You take your salary from here. Okay, the more good you will administer, the more salary you will get. The more farming you will able to do here, the more salary you will get. So these land grants will be given to Brahmins also, like to Brahmins, because they were priests, they was highest in the Varna order. The land grants were given, which were referred as Brahmadeya. Brahmadeya. Even to temples also lands were granted. We know that Indian society is so much attached to the religion. So to temples these lands were given, and the grand, like big temples were made to show that power. So what happens in the effect? Now, the centralized control becomes weaker because it is becoming what? More decentralized. Decentralized. These local officials, which Raja sent on behalf that he will be like trustworthy and all, they become gradually powerful and they declared themselves day by day independent. And they become negative point for the Gupta dynasty, and this is the reason for the decline of the Gupta dynasty. So we started from the Janpad to Mahajanpads and then to Mauryans and to Gupta dynasty. This is the brief difference between the Mauryans versus the Gupta dynasty. Have a look over here. You can do it. I am pretty aware about that. Okay. And now comes the Gurukul system. Okay. Before Gurukul system, I want to give you one information, and that information is, beta, in the Indian society, according to our dharma, there were 4 ashrams. There are 4 ashrams. Okay. What are those 4 ashrams? In these 4 ashrams, first one is basically ashrams are the stages of life. right? In the initial stage of life, our responsibility is to earn knowledge, get knowledge, learn a lot, okay? And that is known as brahmacharya. Brahmacharya. That was up till like a period of age where people were not getting married, a childhood time of, right? Then the second one after this brahmacharya was grihastha ashram. Grihastha ashram, when you have to get married, you play your responsibilities in the society and your family. Then there was vanprastha. After you are done with this responsibility, you will live your life in forest. And then the last one, that was sannyasa. You leave all your worldly bonds, sannyas, and take the sannyas and try to get merged with the God and get enlightenment. So these were the 4 ashrams. In this brahmachari ashram, a student needs to take what? Knowledge. That means the person needs to study. Where they were going to study? Gurukuls. This is the Gurukul system being followed in India. Okay, education was free. There was no fees. Knowledge, good behavior, discipline, social duties were majorly taught here. Not only this, there were subjects like Ved, grammar, philosophy, maths, astronomy, medicine, archery, and even the statecrafts too. Okay? The teaching was oral. There was no school system like fixed periods, fixed classes, nothing beta. No blackboard. Student listen, repeat, discuss, and memorize. Do you know this is known as Shruti and Smriti? Shruti and Smriti. How do we get the knowledge of these Vedas? They were writings, but they were written on what? The things that was disposable. How it moved to present society? Because the knowledge was transmitted orally from one person to another. And this system is known as what? The Gurukul system. Okay, Guru was the leader of this system. We know about the great universities of that time, Nalanda and Takshila University. If you go and see the map, in the northwest region, there was Takshila, the part of Cambodia. Okay, Cambodia Mahajanpad, one of the earliest higher education center where people here studied for medicine, law and philosophy, military science, so advanced students. Students from the world, from China and from other civilization also came and studied there. Like if I talk about Nalanda, this was great center for Buddhist learning. Nepal, Chinese people, all those came here and learned about Buddhism. Okay? It was not only religion which was taught here, it was everything. A package of knowledge, a package of books which we lost because some mad person burned it. Right? If you know the story, you know. So, this is it. We had great mathematicians of that time who just discovered the decimal system. Zero, the concept of zero, and the 2 persons here are Aryabhatta and then we have Gupta. Both were great mathematicians of that time. Even Ayurveda, we know that India is basically the birthplace for Ayurveda, yoga, medicine, right? So the science of healing originated in India, and 2 personality are associated with it. Great personality, Charak, who wrote Charak Samhita. Samhita is basically encyclopedia. Okay, encyclopedia what? About diseases and medicines. Like herbs were used as. We know that by Indian society, something cough and cold happening, your mother will say, "Arey, drink the chai made from tulsi leaves," okay? Right? Something is happening, there is a herb in the market. So from where that knowledge came was Charak Samhita, which described many diseases, explained medicines and treatments. And if we talk about Sushruta, you know, the father of surgery in India, right? Surgery at that time. Okay? So he wrote this Sushruta Samhita, listed surgical instruments, explained how operations are done, and thousands of years back. So this was our great society, beta. Then we have Upanishads. Now Upanishads are basically what? These were the texts written at that time. Text that talks about Atma, that is soul, the universe, the human behavior and ethics. There are around 1000 some Upanishads written during that time. That is actually the basis of all those Indian philosophies like yoga, worldly affairs, and all that. So knowledge was first transformed orally, then started to be written. However, they were written and preserved on palm leaves, copper plates, big bark and wood. So this is how the Upanishads were written. Okay? They were basically manuscripts. Manuscripts are the scripts written by hands. Okay, chalo, very good. Then about the great epics and Sanskrit literature. So beta, this time was particularly during this time where the great epics were compiled. Okay? It is not the day of one year, 100 years, but rather this is the work of years, 500 years and beyond. So if we know the great epic Ramayana written by Valmiki, Mahabharata written by Ved Vyas. Achha, do you know one of the great writer of that time was Kalidas, right? If we talk about Kalidas na, he was the first person or he was the finest writer in the Sanskrit language. Yeah, just one thing I forget to tell you, beta, these Veds were written in Sanskrit. They were written in Sanskrit. Who was the finest writer? First novelist we can call, first writer who we can call was Kalidas. Some of his famous work are Abhijanan Shakuntalam, where the story of Shakuntala is there. Then Meghdootam. See, Meghdootam, it talks about the rainy season. So these are the famous and the celebrated work of that time. That includes the work of Kalidas also. Not the list is over, there's a lot more, but I'm just telling you what is written in the chapter here. And then the trade was also expanding day by day. Traders existed in India from the past time, like Mesopotamian civilization traded with Indian Indus Valley civilization, and the trade was here too. So trade existed in India from very past time. Farming produced a surplus which was sold and traded. Traders connected village, towns and city, carry goods from one place to another, and there was one route that was Silk Route. Okay, so what was Silk Route now? So basically this was China. Okay? This is China and this is Europe. Now beta, what happens in Europe? There was a great demand of Chinese silk. China was the country that produced the finest silk. So there was a route. There was not a single route. There were multiple routes which formed the Silk Route, and it was connected towards India too. So from India, the spices, the cotton and whatever we have in the great quality was traded via this Silk Route through. It were grains, raw material, wood, metal, cloth, metal goods, pottery and jewelries particularly. Right? For the trading activities, guilds were made. The groups, right now we will see that there are certain communities in India which are famous for trading, like Jain community, they do business. Bohra communities, Baniya communities. So they gradually developed from the past. Also there were guilds of merchants. Right? There was referred as Shreni, group of traders. And there were merchants also which become wealthy day by day. And there were crafts like textile, cotton and silk work was done, metal work, iron, copper and bronze. There was pottery making, jewelry making, shipbuilding, right? And this is how, because of this occupation, right? Because of this occupation, this led to what? Division of society. A person who is doing work of iron will become lohar, ironsmith, goldsmith, sunar. Now we have sunar as a community, lohar as a community. Person making ship has a community, right? A person making pottery has a different community. So this is how the division of labor came, beta. If you still believe in those divisions, you have to understand our history was different, right? The history was great. It never started from what we have done to it right now. So quick recap of what you studied in the chapter, because I know your mind is now your mind is struggling with all the facts we studied in this chapter. Beta, history is particularly lengthy, but I'm trying to make it easy for you. I hope you like the chapter. We started with the society, how from tribal life, right? The society started. After that, society converted into settlements, organized one, where power came into picture. After that power, there was Vedic age, great empires about knowledge and economy. So hope the picture of these 1,000 years and more and beyond is clear in every one of your mind. Okay, so make a quick notes of it. Try revising it, start learning it. If new book comes, there are the basics here. Only and only some of the few things will be changed, nothing more than that, because we have got it with several research. And if you are struggling with the notes, you are going to find it in the description box right now. There is a link provided. As you have watched me up till here, I'm pretty sure you like the session. You will also like this PDF too. Go in the description, hit that link, download it, keep it with you, learn from it, make your notes, and hit the subscribe button right now. Do not forget to come in my next video. Bye bye. Take care.